Okay, good morning. This is going to be the Flexmls 201 class. Today, what we are going to be covering is the portal. Then in the second hour, we will cover contact management. And then in the third hour, we will customize some quick search templates, a view, and then we'll work on customizing a report. So the first hour will be portals. So what exactly is a portal? Well, if you remember from the one-on-one class, we kind of walked through the tiers of support when you're dealing with the client. Tier one would be a manual email. And so I'm actually going to do a search really quickly. Okay, so we're going to do a search. Let's put number bedroom 7. We'll keep it real simple. Okay, so we have a search. Now, a manual email would be to go email these listings. Now, if I email these listings and I have currently 51 results, these 51 results go to the client, but I have to do the search over and over to get new listings. So tier one is basically you are doing all the work, whereas tier two is a save, search, and subscription. And so that's what we'll do right now. We're going to go to save search. And we're going to plug in search name. So I'm going to name it after my client, Red Leader. Called 7Pets. Now, when you're saving a search and subscription, you're going to click on this, and I could always do like a new contact, say Red Leader. An email address, and it says create a portal account for this prospect, no or yes. I would turn on yes and invite this customer into the portal. So what I can do is I can invite someone to the portal while I'm saving a search and subscription. It's personal preference, but let's just kind of sum up what we're trying to talk about. The search and subscription is that tier 2 level of support. So that is you're saving a search and subscription, so Flexmls is doing the work for you. Whereas tier 3 is the portal. A portal is a website your client can log into, tell you what they like, what they don't like. They basically are doing all the work. So what it means is it's proactive. When your client has access to a portal, they can log in at any point. Whereas with a subscription, it's a reminder that, okay, there's a new listing, it'll go out in about 10 minutes, or a price change or status changes about 2 to 5 minutes. So those are the 3 tiers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save and add the subscription. We're going to actually look at a couple of these emails, and then we're going to continue on with the portal. So let me just plug in something real quickly. Okay, so I set up the search and subscription. We see that right here, and it says, would you like to email these listings now? This is just a reminder that with subscriptions, the original listings do not go out in the subscription. You have to manually email them. Or what we did is we combined this with a portal. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up what those emails look like. And just to make sure I got that email address correct, I'm just going to verify. Okay. So this has generated 2 emails. Now the first one says, welcome to your portal, and we'll look over this email in a little bit inside of portal preferences, but this is the portal invitation email. So it says, welcome to your personalized home search experience. You can start searching for your dream home, seeing what's on the market, save listings you're interested in, communicate with me, and more. To get started, watch this short video. This is for your client. So right now we are the client looking at this email. And then click the link below to start searching. The great thing, you get to see listings in real time, something that other sites like Zillow can't provide. So to have your client sign up for a portal, it's incredibly simple. And for you to really understand the portal, you have to set yourself up with a test contact or have your friends or family members do it. Play around with the portal on the client side. So I'm going to sign up. And so just plug in a name, put in a password, and I always do 1, 2, 3, 4 for password, just to keep it as simple as possible. That way, if you're not going to get a call Saturday morning from a client saying, "Hey, I don't remember what my password was." Okay, so your client is now in the portal. That's how simple it is to sign up. And I just want to go back to the first screen and show you. Okay, so this is the portal invitation email. New listing updates from Chewy. This is what the subscription email looks like. And again, the subscription is an opt-in process. So see, yes, please send me listings. Once your client has clicked on a subscription email, they're going to be good for 13 months. Anytime they click on another email, they'll be good for another 13 months. And then once your client has logged into a portal, they get a new email that says portal login information. I know this seems like a lot of emails, but it's got some important information. And it does show that they can access the portal, which is a mobile responsive site. But if they want to download an app, there is Flexmls for home buyers. This is basically the portal as an app. And so that's what these two right here. So if you want to get comfortable with those apps, I'd recommend you downloading them to your phone. Okay, so this is what the portal looks like. Now it's mobile responsive. So look what happens to my screen. So I have full screen. And then when I narrow it, notice it changes. So it uses icons. And if I were to look at the actual screen, it's going to put everything right here. And the map is, you actually have to click on the map, where if I make this max screen, then I notice the map will be on the right side. So again, it is mobile responsive based on what's your screen size. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about portal preferences, where they're going to talk about how you can invite people to the portal without doing a search, and then we'll play around with the portal, which is going to generate data for us that we're going to look at the second hour. Okay, so if you're ready to start using the portal on Flexmls, it's really simple. What you can do is type in the word portal, and what I'm looking for is portal preferences right here. So we go to portal preferences, and this is where I'm going to customize things inside the portal. So we're just going to go through a few things. Now, if I look at intro, I will see a video. Now, this is the video that is not in an email. This is the video that's meant for you as a realtor. So you can watch the video later. It's only about 2 minutes, kind of sum up what the portal is. But what is the portal? Okay. So the portal is a website your client can log into, tell you what they like, what they don't like. It's completely interactive, and everything it's proactive. So if your client can't sleep at 1 in the morning and they want to look at listings, they can log into the portal. And so ideally what you do is you combine a search and subscription with the portal. So once your client's logged in the portal and then they get an email that says there's a new listing, the subscription is like a reminder to go back into the portal. So it's great to have both of them combined if you want to ensure that your client is on top of their search. And what I mean by this is, I used to live in Miami Beach in Florida, and I was looking for rentals there. I was originally living in Central Florida. And so I was looking for rentals there, and they did not have a good portal solution, the software they had. So I downloaded Zillow to my phone, and I would do searching on Zillow, and I would text my realtor MLS listings and say, hey, I like this one, I like that one. Well, on Zillow, everything that was active, but we know that Zillow isn't always up to date. It can be hours or even days behind. And so everything I would text my realtor said active on Zillow, but it was already rented. So the number one reason to use the Flexmls portal is that it is live, up-to-date information. And like I mentioned before, new listings get fired off in about 10 minutes. And the reason Flexmls even waits an entire 10 minutes is because people will make a listing live and then have an oh crap moment. They forgot something. So Flexmls gives the listing agent a little bit of time to make any other changes before like a email would get fired off getting sent to people, letting them know about new listings. So that's why it's up to 10 minutes. But again, you find out about new listings within 10 minutes, where with Zillow, it could be hours and days. I know this from personal experience because I was an MLS director last year. And I would get calls or emails every single day from my members saying, hey, I made this update in Flexmls. Zillow is still not reflecting the update. And so I had a special email that I would email Zillow with and say, hey, can we update this listing? And usually in about 2 or 3 days, it was updated. So again, it could take 2, 3, 4 days before something is actually updated. And we know in this hot market right now, that is not a great thing. So number one reason to use the portal is live up-to-date information. Now, the second reason it's important is you can track what you're looking at. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, when you have a listing or a certain listing criteria and you're searching in another app, your client is not going to be able to see what you're exactly looking for. My example is when I was moving down to Miami Beach, I was on the road for Flexmls 2, sometimes 3 weeks a month all over the US. And so I was looking for a rental on the beach, but I didn't need anything fancy because I wasn't home a lot. So I had a certain price range in mind. But my realtor, she knew how much money I made. So she had a different price range in mind. So everything she was showing me was $200 to $300 more a month than I wanted to spend. So again, if your client's doing searching in other sites, you don't actually see what they're searching for. Whereas if they search inside the Flexmls app, or the portal, you're going to be able to actually look at what they like, what they don't like, that kind of thing. So after we go through the portal preferences, we'll talk about how to invite someone to the portal without a search and subscription. Even though we just did that, I want to make sure you see you can do it both ways. And then we'll actually generate some data in the portal. Okay, so we're going to go to portal basics. Now, this URL is your portal URL, and I highly recommend that you save it and put it somewhere. And what I mean by that is this URL is branded to you. So http my.flexmls.com/ and then the name here is just in case. If your client goes to this URL, they cannot get into it unless you provide them a login, meaning you invite them. Their username is going to be their email address, and the password would be whatever they signed up to do. We just did that process. We signed up, put 1234 as the password. But what's cool about this URL is I can have this URL bookmarked on my iPad. Now iPads are now like $300 or less. You can get Google tablets for like under $100. I always keep my iPad in my car in the seat back. And so what's cool about that is a couple different reasons. One, if you use your phone as a mobile hotspot, if you don't have data on your device, some people have data on their tablets, you can use your phone as a mobile hotspot and then pull up your iPad or your Google device, and you can turn it sideways so you have full screen and use the full site, www.flexmls.com. So that's a cool thing. But the other thing that's cool is, let's say you have a client in the car with you and you're driving between these different locations and you want to show them how the portal works while they're in town. Maybe they're visiting from Ohio and they're looking to buy property, they're looking to move there. Well, if you hand them your tablet while they're in the car with you, you can have them go to this URL. They can log in and they can search for properties while they're with you. So if they have any questions on how the portal works or like Flexmls in general, they could ask you while they're with you, and then you can answer the questions. So when they fly back to Ohio or where it is ever they're living, they know how to use the portal. So you can take advantage of teaching them how to use the portal again while they are in town with you. So this URL is something that you can save. Keep going down. Now, my listings. Yours is going to be turned on by default. I always turn mine off, and the reason being, it asks if it want to show my listings on my homepage. And let me just show you what the homepage looks like. This is the homepage. Now, the reason I turn this off is because, let's say, for example, I have some listings that are between 400 and 500,000. That's the ones that I'm the listing agent. But I'm working with a client now who's like a friend of a friend, and they're looking to buy something for 150,000. And so when they log into the portal, they see all these houses they can't afford, and they're wondering, why are you showing me houses that are way out of my price range? So that's just, personal preference, how you want to use the portal. So I like to turn this off. Now there is an intro email section, and by default, yours says, as a new portal user, says a portal for your information. I have no idea what that means. So I just changed this to say, welcome to your portal. So I'm making this about my clients. And then this text says, welcome to your personalized home search experience. You can start searching for your dream home, see what's on the market, save listings you're interested in, communicate with, watch the short video, and click the link below to start searching. This is that first part right here is what is provided to you by Flexmls. I add this part. The great thing, you get to see listings in real time, something that other sites like Zillow can't provide. So I purposely added this to my portal invitation. This because the first part, they get to see what it's about, but this part, they actually see the value of it. So the great thing, you get to see listings in real time, something that other sites like Zillow can't provide. So I'm using my own personal experience trying to find rentals in Miami Beach, that if you're using another site like Zillow, it's not the primary source of data. So there could be a delay of minutes, hours, days, as you've seen. So I'm basically letting my client know, like, hey, I'm giving you access to what I see. And so you're giving access to the public version, not the private version. So they don't see the other realtor's name, they don't see commission rates, that kind of thing. And we'll talk about that a bit more when we look at the actual portal. But we're really showing the value of what the portal is. Keep going down. Now, there's some other things like newsfeed. If you want to see what's going to show up in their newsfeed, basically what the newsfeed is when you're in the portal, whenever there's a new listing meeting the search parameters or price change or a status change, it's going to show up in the newsfeed. And so you're just deciding which ones you want to show in the newsfeed. You have default subscription settings. If you don't want things like open house or backup market, I think all of them, it makes sense to have all of these turned on. So these are like Mr. Coffee makers. Listing content, if you want to see certain content where they're viewing listings like open house or documents. Again, this really comes down to personal preference, what you want to show your clients. But I'm just going to save this. Okay, so what did we talk about so far? Well, we're talking about the portal preferences. So I'm going to go to portal again, portal preferences. This is kind of a one-time thing. You come in, you take a look and see what you need to make changes to. Once you saved it, then you're going to be good for all clients. So the things that I focused on was portal basics. This is the URL that I asked you to write down. So this URL goes to your portal site, just like, facebook.com/ and then whatever your name is, that will go to your Facebook page. So this is branded to you. We went to my listings and I turned this off because, again, I don't want to show clients my listings, especially if they're in a different price range than what they're looking for. And then we looked at the intro email. We just kind of spruced it up a bit, make it more personal to the client so they understand what the portal is. Okay, so I showed you, and I'm gonna go through that process one more time really quickly. You can invite someone to a portal at the same time as you're saving a search and subscription. So let's just do the 7 bedrooms again. So we could email the listings. We see the 51, and that would be like a tier 1. You're just emailing, you're doing manual email. But the problem with that is you have to keep doing that search over and over and over. Whereas if we save a search, edit it. So we did red leader, 7 beds. We can do a new contact and have the option to create a portal account, invite them to the portal. It's personal preference if you want to do that while you're saving a search or you want to do it before or after. But one thing that's, I think, really cool is the idea of a portal without a search and subscription. And so I'll give you a scenario. So let's say you're in Walmart, and I tell everyone they should always wear the realtor name badge with them wherever they go, because they'll have people come up to them and talk to them. And so let's say you are at Walmart and you're wearing your name badge, and Gold Leader comes up to you and says, "Hey, we're in town on vacation. We really like the area. We'd like to buy." So you may not have a lot of free time, or they may not have a lot of free time at that exact moment. So you don't have time to go through everything you normally would. So what you can do is you can say, "Hey, let me invite you to a portal," and then you can play around with the portal. You could do your own searching. And then in a few days, I'm going to reach out to you. And so it's really simple to invite someone to the portal. And the context of this would be you're using your phone. So I'm going to make this look more like a mobile device. So what I mean by that is you're going to pull up your Flexmls Pro phone app, and you're going to ask the person, "Okay, well, let me set you up with the portal." So you're going to go to the contact section, and you're going to see your list of contacts here. But what we're going to do is we're going to click on Add Contact. And I'm going to put in their email address. Now, I know from talking to realtors, sometimes you do get bad email addresses from people you meet, especially like at an open house where they're signing a form. So what you're going to do is you're going to tell this person, "Okay, well, I'm going to set you up with the portal. I'm going to send you an email right now, and then I'm going to walk you through the process to sign up." So they know they're getting an email right now, so they want to make sure you get a good email. So type in Gold Leader 66.com and put in the information. Now, I'm not going to walk through the sign up process again because I already showed you that not too long ago. Just to show you how incredibly fast this is. So we plug in some information, and you're on your phone right now. You're just tapping it in, and then you send the invite. Now, if you have an Apple device, the invite's actually on the all contacts screen, but it's the same process. Just click on Send Invite, and it says, "I'd like to invite you to connect with me on flexmls.com," and click on Send, or tap on Send. Okay, so the portal invitation has now gone up to Gold Leader, and I already showed you I walked you through the process of signing up. It's really simple. Just click on the button that says, "Yes, please sign me up." And then they plug in their name and their password, and they're ready in the portal. So the example of this is you don't have a lot of time with someone, like you run into them at Walmart or Costco, and you say, "Okay," you kind of have they say you have like a 30-second portal speech or a 30-second elevator speech. Kind of make the same thing with the portal. Explain what it is. It's a website you can log into, tell me what you like, what you don't like, but it's the live, up-to-date information. And so you can give some personal examples of what you've seen when it comes to Zillow or other sites, but you kind of want to explain what it is and give yourself, 30, 45 seconds for the email to arrive in their inbox. And then you say, "Okay, pull up your phone, log into your email, and I'll walk you through signing up." And I showed you that process. Literally, it's tap on a button, put in a password, and then they are in the portal. So that's how simple it is to get them set up with the portal. And so it only takes a couple minutes, and you'll notice what we're doing with Gold Leader right here. I haven't saved a search and subscription yet. I just met this guy. So what you could do is say, "Okay, in a couple days, after you played around with the portal, you've done some searching, I'm going to reach out to you, and then we're going to go from there." So what you're doing is this tier 3 of support. They are doing all the work. You're literally giving them access to the portal. They're doing some searching, and then after a few days, you're going to look at the information that they provide for you, meaning the searching that they're doing. And once they've done that, then when you reach out to them, you have a reason to reach out to them. You're going to see what they like, what they don't like, that kind of thing. And so move this over. So that is what we're going to do. We are now going to play around in the portal, and we're going to be Red Leader because this is something we set up at the beginning of the class. And we're going to do some searching. Okay. So there's two ways to look at the screen. We're going to do some searching on the full screen, which would look like a tablet or the computer, and then we're going to switch to the mobile responsive version just so you see how both work. So your client logs in the portal, and this is what they see. This is the home screen. Then when they go to search, okay, we on the left side, we see filter for, we see the map on the right side. So I'm going to tap on filter. And let's put in a location of Aurora. Just remove a few options. Price will do 75 to 225,000. Okay, we're down to 4 listings. So maybe we'll change the price a bit. All right, 7 listings. Okay, so we'll do 2 BAS minimum. Let's see what else. Do we want to add a filter right here? We could do city limits. So your client can basically do some basic searching and add some other fields. But if they're good with the results, we're going to view the 7 listings. So this is Red Leader. This is our client doing his own searching. Now, your client cannot save the search unless you pay for Flexmls' IDX package. But what they can do is they can save or they can hide listings. So he can click on the star and save this one. He could hide this one right here. And if he wants to go in an actual listing, just tap on it. And the first thing that you notice is up at the top. It says contact agent, meaning you. So that's the great thing about using the portal is it is branded to you. And there's my profile photo. So this message will, you get an email letting you know that your client has sent you a message. But if we scroll through the photos, we go through it this way by using the arrows. Otherwise, you can use the full screen option and go through the photos. So this is why high quality photos are important. So you want to make sure your client is seeing the best quality photos when they're doing a search. And then so they see some information again, and this will all be public information. It won't share any of the private information, but it will frequently have more data than other sites like Zillow would provide anyways. Okay, we'll go back. Maybe want to look at another listing. And you'll see where it's located on the map. So tap on save, or you could even share it. So if your client shares listings, it's going to be a way to email listing. But if they're sharing listings, it's usually to a husband, wife, boyfriend, or girlfriend, mother-in-law, that kind of thing. So it's likely something that they're very interested in. Go back. And and then we see the map right here. So we're down to 7 results. But if we wanted to just show like the properties over on the right side, it's very simple. We can use this shape, and every time it clicks, it gives us a point. Every time you tap it. And so now it's just going to show everything in the shape. So we're down to 3 out of the 7. And you can get like satellite imagery. Don't worry about breaking anything inside this. Just you can click on things and see what they do. So it's pretty forgiving. So that is basic search. We'll just go through that one more time just to show you how easy. This has to be something simple enough that your client can figure out. So I think it is quite user friendly. So we just go to search. Yeah, it starts with like almost 13,000 listings, all the different property types, all the listings across North Carolina. And you'll see these number bubbles that if you were to click on it, it kind of breaks it down into smaller number bubbles and then does it again and again. But if we go to filter, location, we'll do Rocky Mount this time. Just remove a few things here. $150, $225. Done 20 listings, and then we put in any other fields that we want to do, like say year built. View the listings. And if we want to view any, we can just click on it, or we can star or hide it if we don't want it to be shown. So this is your client doing this. Okay, so we're going to go to the next thing. We're going to go to the save section. So if you're saving any listings or hiding them, they're going to be in this section here. You will also see something that says recommended. Now, how recommended listings work is generally this is how I explain them. Let's say your client's looking between 200 and 225,000. That's their search. They have a saved search subscription. So they're only receiving listings between 200 and 225,000. But you tell your client, okay, once a week or so, I may recommend a listing that's not quite exactly what you're looking for, but I think you should check it out. Let's say you see something show up on the hot sheet for 230. Now it's not in their price range, but 230 is for like the area that you see the house. It's like a steal. Most of those houses are going for 250, 260, and this is a very motivated seller. So you recommend a listing to them, letting them know that, hey, this is not what you're normally looking for, but I think you should take a look. And we will take a look, see how you can recommend listings in the second hour. And then you have any listings that are hidden. You'll notice up at the top that Red Leader does have a search. We set him up with a search and subscription, but you don't have to do that from the start. Like my example with Costco. So you meet someone, you invite them to the portal, and then they play around with the portal. You look at the data that they generate, and once they've generated some data for you, then in a couple of days you can reach out to them and basically say, hey, it looks like this is what you're looking for. Is that correct? Like, yeah. Then you can save a search and subscription after you set them up with the portal and have it kind of be like a reminder, basically say, hey, every time you get a subscription, it's a reminder to go back into the portal. So that's why I like to do the search and subscription after the fact. We know, and studies have shown that clients are already doing searching long before they ever reach out to a realtor. So they're used to doing their own searching. And if they're, doing it on another site like Zillow and they're getting frustrated, you can explain and say, hey, that's the great thing about Flexmls is that's that live up-to-date information. And why don't you, look at what I look at? This will be a lot easier for your search. So you get them on the portal. You have to be able to explain to them what the portal is and the value of it. And so after this class, I always recommend whenever they take a class with me, try it yourself. Invite a friend or a family member to the portal, have them play around with it, save some listings, hide things, have them generate that data for you. So when you go into contact management, you get to see exactly what it is that they like, what they don't like, and then you can, build a conversation from there. Now, if we go to newsfeed right here, this is going to be the newsfeed. Now, the newsfeed it says viewing 0 of 0 because there are no new listings or price changes or status changes yet on the search. I just saved it. But whenever you have a new listing here, you'll see it show up and say like the new listing, open house, whatever that's on the timestamp. It will provide you information about that listing. So like you said, the search and subscription doesn't have to be combined with the portal, but I do recommend doing it because that subscription then becomes a reminder to go back into the portal. Like they get an email says new listing at this location. They click on it. Once they have the cookie in their browser, it'll bring them right back into the portal. Okay, so we saw what this looks like on the full screen. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make this smaller, show you what it looks like, what would be like on a mobile site. This would be if they pull up, they log into the portal on their phone. Now, if they're on their phone, they can download the Flexmls for Home Buyers app for either Android or Apple. But basically what the app is it's just the portal as an app. So it's just personal preference, however you want to do it. But let's play around with it on this. Now, so we see the home screen. Really, the only difference is, let me just maximize it again, is these words have now become icons and it's just spread out. But it's the same site, just mobile responsive. So home, the first thing they see when they log in is your smiling face. It's branded to you. This is why you want to get them on that portal right away. Go to the search. Now the search is a little bit different because you don't see the map right away. So we see what's just like what's called a listing card. We see like new listing, timestamp, price change, and then I was star stuff to save it or hide it. Normally this updates right away. It looks like I might be having slight internet issues, but we're going to go into this listing. If you want to look at an actual listing, just tap on it and the map right here will show it where it's on the map. And if you want to get driving directions. So it works a little bit different when you're scrunched and you're looking at mobile, but it's basically the same process. So we have the public remarks, any information about the listing so they can save or share it. Click on back. Now, if they want to do any searching, very simple, tap on filter. And we'll put it in Rocky Mount. Get rid of any property types I'm not interested in. I can put in a price. If I want to add a certain field, I can do so. If I know what I'm looking for, though, I can just type in the name. And view the listings. So every time your client does something in the portal, every time they tap on a listing or click on a listing, it calculates that. It keeps track of that number, so you'll actually see what they're viewing and how many times they're viewing it. That's why it's important for the purposes of data. So even if you don't save a search and subscription, let them play around with it, then look at the data that they generate. If you can get an idea of what they're looking for from that data, then you call them up and say, hey, is this what you're looking for? So it's a really cool thing. Now the star is the same thing as the save section. Oh. Problem about teaching first thing in the morning is that's when Flexmls makes changes to things in the site. So It's possible that they're just updating code right now. Go to newsfeed. So if you have a newsfeed here, so that's going to be the new listings, the price changes, the status changes. They're going to show up here. And then finally, there's your information. Okay, so we're going to switch back to being the realtor. So let's sum up. What is a portal? A portal is a website your client can log into, tell you what they like, what they don't like. It's interactive. Whereas a search and subscription, it's reactive. So I do recommend doing both of them at the same time. And we're going to just do a search real quickly. Just kind of walk through that process one more time. So if you search for properties, like say 7, 1 second, I need to plug in my laptop. Okay, so we search for 7 bedrooms. Now we go to email. We email these 51 results to our client. This is a manual email, but we're having to do the work. And if I want to keep searching for 7 bedrooms, I'd have to keep searching this every single day. That's not what I want, because that's not cost effective and time effective. So what I would do then is I would go to save search and subscription. And what this does is this moves from tier 1, the manual email, to tier 2, the search and subscription. The system is doing the work. You're telling Flexmls basically, hey, this is what my client is looking for. Whenever there's a new listing or price change or status change, I want you to fire off an email. So it's at the minimum, bare minimum important for clients. But this is reactive. It's waiting for something to happen for a listing, either a price change, a status change, or a new listing hitting the market. Whereas at the tier 3, the portal, your client's doing all the work. They log in when they want. So it's proactive. They want to log in again at 1 in the morning to do searching, and they'll see stuff in the news feed, which is just basically like the subscription if you combine them both, but they can do all their own searching by themselves. So I do highly recommend doing it. Now I showed you when you save a search and subscription, you can set them up with the portal. Otherwise, the other way we did that is we went to m.flexmls.com. This is the mobile site, which just looks exactly like your Flexmls Pro app. So I'm going to minimize this to make it look like a mobile device. Very, very simple. We go to the person contact section. We go to add contact. Put an email address. So this is the person that you run into at Walmart, and they come up to you. And so you get their information. It's only going to take me about 15-20 seconds to type that up or tap that in. I'm using my phone. We'll send the invite. And this invitation goes on. So we basically, we send the invitation to them. We tell them we're going to email them right now and walk them through the process. And the great thing about this is, just takes you about 30 seconds, maybe a minute before those emails arrive. They're pretty quick, but give yourself some time until those emails arrive. So explain what the portal is. And until you play around with the portal yourself, you're not really going to get a good idea. So invite your friends, your family members to the portal, or use your personal email, not your work email. You don't want to get them confused, but play around with the portal, generate some data for you. So then once you've done that, you can explain it to a client, and then it makes it a lot easier for your clients. Because ideally you want everyone on the portal, just for the simple fact that if they're doing searching on other sites, they're not getting good quality data necessarily, or it's going to be delayed. So if you get them onto the Flexmls portal, you explain the two things that are important. One, live up-to-date information. Again, new listings, about 10 minutes. Price changes and status changes, about 2 to 5 minutes. And then the other reason is you can track what they're looking at. Now, you don't have to tell them you're spying on them, but you get to see what they like, what they don't like, if they're viewing a listing a bunch, and that'll give you an idea of what it is that they want, so you can better help them with their search. So in the second hour, that's what we will be doing, is we'll be looking at the data that was generated by the client by just clicking on stuff. Okay, let's just go back to our Flexmls. So that is going to be for the portal section. Do we have any questions? Jennifer, any questions? Or does this make sense for you? Okay, well, we'll take a 10-minute break and we'll start up again at 10 a.m. your time. And then we'll do the, we'll be focusing on contact management. Okay, in the second hour, what we're going to talk about is contact management. So I purposely did searching in the portal from the perspective of a client, just so we can see the data that gets generated in contact management, among other things, but it really does kind of blend well for this class. So to go to contact management, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on contact management, or I could always just type in contact if I don't have it up here on my menu, and go to contact management. And so it brings me to this screen. Now, you will see my list of contacts, and they're sorted by activity last 7 days. What this means is, a few years ago, Flexmls decided to make a change on how contacts were sorted here. And they track something called activity the last 7 days. So up at the top, you're going to see the contacts that are the most active. And what that means is, so in the last 7 days, a wedge has been doing something in the portal. It's been doing the searching or saving listings or something. So what this does is Flexmls lets you focus on your contacts that are the most active. So if you have some downtime, who do you focus on? Do you focus on someone who hasn't been searching for anything in the last couple of months, or someone who has been really active? And if I go into Wedge's contact record, I'll actually get to see when he was most active. So we'll do that in a little bit. But before we do that, I do want to point out there is an option right here. There's a quick add that you can plug in some information if you want to get someone to the portal. And the context here would be is I showed you, you can pull up your Flexmls Pro app in the last hour and you can add a contact and invite them to the portal. That's really simple. Well, this is literally the fastest way to get someone on the portal. So what you do is just put in their first name, the last name, put in their email address, check the box for the portal and click on add. So an example for this would be, let's say you're working in an open house and you have your laptop on the kitchen counter and someone comes up to you and this says, oh, we're interested in buying in this area, but we're in a hurry. So you can add them to your portal just by doing this, and hopefully you have time to walk them through the process to sign up. But I showed you that sign up process is incredibly simple. But this literally takes me 15 seconds to add someone to contact management and turn on the portal for them. So this, now what that's done is portal email has gone out to C3PO to this email address. So he can sign up, and then when he has access to the portal, he can, you know, do his own searching, tell you what he likes, what he doesn't like, that kind of thing. So this is a really, really simple way to add someone to the portal. And if you don't see this blue banner right here, if you just go to advanced and show hide quick add. It removes and it's brought back. So that's how that does that. Okay, so that's one way to add someone inside of contact management. Another way is literally to go through the entire process. So we're going to click on add contact and then start putting in some information. Okay, so I want to put in the name of Jack Porkins. And you'll notice that there's this right here is called a display name, where this is, first, middle, last. I like to put them in both because there is an option, we'll see that later on in this hour, where you can sort people by last name first if you want. So if you're just doing the display name, it's not going to allow you to do that. Now, additional contact. The additional contact, this frequently when you're using contact records is going to refer to if you want to add a spouse. So Jenny Porkins. And this probably won't do an organization, but the email address. Now watch what I'm doing with the email address. So we're going to do Jackie Porkins at mailinator.com. And then it does give me an option to add. And when I click on add, this is have two email addresses. So what this can refer to is going to be the husband, and then if she wants to receive subscription emails. That's what this notify thing is right here. And I mentioned this a lot in the 101 class, but always read that hover text, because a lot of times it will tell you information that might not be obvious to you. So it says send subscription notifications to this address. So I'm going to check the box for notify. So now both people will receive subscription emails, and they're all in the same contact record. It really comes down to personal preference. Sometimes people like to keep spouses separate, but if you want to have them on one contact record, and you could even update it by saying Jack and Jenny Porkins instead. Okay, keep going down. Then you're going to plug in a phone number. You can put in their address if you would like. Now, reverse prospecting. This is something that a lot of people don't quite get, so I'll explain it. But if you're still kind of curious about what it is, there is Flexmls video training that Flexmls provides, and there is a specific one on reverse prospecting right here. I don't have a test listing here, so I can't actually walk you through what the process looks like. So I'll explain what reverse prospecting is. Now, in the context of contact management, it may be checked or unchecked by default depending on your settings. And so what I mean by that is I'm going to open this up into a new tab, general preferences. You'll notice I'm not going to lose the work I'm doing, so I'll open this up into a new tab. And when it comes to reverse prospecting, it is at the bottom, and it says contact management, default for enable reverse prospecting checkbox on add contact, no or yes. Mine set to no, that's why it's not checked. If I set to yes, then it would be automatically checked. You can switch to yes and click save if you want. So, okay, I keep talking about it, but I haven't actually explained what reverse prospecting is. Reverse prospecting allows your client to be prospected from another realtor. What that means is, okay, if I check this box for Jack Porkins and I end up saving a search for him that's 150 to 200,000 in Rocky Point, then what another realtor can do is that he can run reverse prospecting. He has a property or he has a piece of land and he's just not getting a lot of the hits on it. People aren't noticing it. So Flexmls does provide a function that reverse prospects. So what it does is it searches the contacts of all other realtors in the board to see if they have a contact that's looking for, has the same search parameters that his property would match. You don't get access to the other realtors' contacts. You just get notified that they have contacts that could match this. So what it does is it tells you all the realtors that have contacts that match this. Then you can email those realtors and say, hey, you have a client. I think they'd be interested in this property. Again, you do not get access to their actual contact's name, their email, anything like that. You just are notified that they do have contacts that might be interested in this. And so every board is different. I find if you're going to use reverse prospecting, make sure when you send out those emails that the email is actually a bit specialized. It's because what will happen is people run reverse prospecting and they don't change the email, and then so other realtors start to watch for those emails and just ignore them. So I was working with someone last year, and he would create an email, and his email title said "just a quick minute." So that got my attention because I know, okay, this is literally only going to take a minute or less. And then he had the reverse prospecting email, and he talked about how his house was like a bird lover's paradise with all the hummingbirds, and it was just really short, but it caught my attention. It made me pay attention to that actual, hey, this property could be interesting. Whereas a lot of people, they'll just fire off these templates, and then if everyone's doing it, then it doesn't jump out. So right here, basically all I'm doing is if I check this box, this will tell Flexmls that this person is available to reverse prospect. So another realtor could run reverse prospecting on one of their listings and then find out, are there other realtors that have clients that meets that? So, but again, this does not, Jack does not say, okay, hey, that other person can contact me. There's no way that other realtor is going to know who it is. That's just allowing it to work. And like I said before, I do recommend going to the video training. If you are interested in this, it really comes down to every board's different, if they like using this or not. Type in reverse and then watch the reverse prospecting video. So this will go step-by-step instructions on it. I don't have a test listing in North Carolina Regional, so I can't actually run it to show you what it looks like. So this video will show you though. Okay, and then there's additional info. I can click on add. So if they have an anniversary, I can plug that in. Or if pet's name. So whatever I want to do. And also you'll notice that it allows you to create a portal account for this contact whenever you add a contact. If you're going to like go through the whole process of everything, I usually do. I find once you know how the portal works, I recommend giving access of the portal to all your clients. Again, once you know it works or how it works. You don't want to just fire out portals to everyone if you just took this class but you haven't played around with it, because once you see how it works and you're able to explain it, then it really is helpful. Now the final thing I want to do on this screen is we have groups. I can put my contacts into specific groups. So I'm going to add. Now I have first-time home buyers, investors, and repeat customers. I find that's a good way to organize people. Maybe we'll add another one. Oh, sorry, edit group list. And buyers, whatever it is. Now add them to the group so they're easier to organize. You can't fire off emails to individual groups. I know a lot of people would like that ability, but that basically just gives people a reason to spam. So Flexmls doesn't allow you to send one type of email to a specific group. This is just like purely for organization purposes. If you want to organize your contacts, this makes a lot of sense if you end up having hundreds of contacts and you want to organize what kind of contacts they are. So that's really cool. Okay, I'm going to click on add contact. Okay, so now this has added the contact, and then a portal notification has gone out. Now you'll notice on this contact details screen, it says send confirmation email. What this is referring to is this is referring to a subscription email. I haven't saved a search and subscription yet, so that email hasn't gone out. You can set up opt them into a subscription before you even set one up if you'd like. But this, what you see here, send confirmation email, will look different than if it says if it's pending or confirmed. And as long as we're on that subject, I do want to point out the opt-in status report. I always mention this in the 101 class, but I like to cover it again just because people just quite don't realize what the purpose of it is. The opt-in status report checks to see what the status of subscription emails. So Flexmls is an opt-in process. Your client physically has to do one of two things: click on a manual email, or they have to click on a subscription email. And if they clicked on either of them, they're going to be good for 13 months. I showed you what a subscription email looked like a little earlier on in class. But if they click on any of those emails, they're good for 13 months. Now, I tell everyone when it comes to the opt-in status report, add this to your list of things to do, usually like a Thursday afternoon or Friday morning. And it literally just takes a couple of minutes to go through this report. And you just want to see, okay, is anyone still pending? Now, Red Leader, I just sent him a request. That's why it's pending today. That's fine. And so, but Mesa's been pending for 2 days. So you might want to reach out to them, especially if it's been like 6 or 7 days, and say, hey, I was going to set you up a subscription. You haven't clicked on the link yet. Follow up with them. Because what happens is when I teach this class in person, and normally I do hands-on classes, I'll walk around the room and I'll have people look at their opt-in status report. And there's always going to be someone in class who has someone who's been pending like 60 days. And they say, well, are you telling me this person has not received any of my emails in 60 days? Like, yes, that is the case. Because until they physically click on that subscription email that says, yes, please send me listings, they're not going to be receiving those listings. So if you're checking this once a week, you might only be a week behind when it comes to a client on the emails they should be receiving. Flexmls had to switch to an opt-in process because Flexmls sends millions of emails a day and people were abusing the system and what would happen is these emails would get sent to spam traps and make Flexmls look like it was a spammer when it's not. So this opt-in process ensures 99.9% accuracy on delivering listings. Now, if you go to undeliverable, you'll see if any of those emails were undeliverable. This did not go to Stormtrooper because we know the Death Star blew up. Confirmed, this is what you want to see, is anyone who is confirmed. And the days until inactive starts at 395 days. And so this has gone like almost 3 months, because this is when I set Luke up when I first taught this class. But if they click on any subscription emails, you are going to see it right here. Now, if anyone has opted out, you're going to see it here. You will receive an email when a client has opted out, but we're busy, you may miss it. So if you're checking this once a week, it's always good to see who's opted out. Just like any subscription on the internet, people down at the bottom have the option for, it says to unsubscribe, please click here. They're allowed to opt out. Now, usually your clients will opt out of subscriptions if you set them up with an ASAP, and ASAP is as soon as possible. That's those new listings within 10 minutes. Price changes is about 2 to 5 minutes. But if they're a first-time home buyer that are looking at everything like Nash County, they might be receiving like 10, 15 emails a day. So they get overwhelmed, then they just opt out. So if you're checking this once a week, you may find someone's opted out. I would just see how they're set up, see if they're ASAP, and call them up and say, hey, are you receiving too many emails? Why don't we set you up for once a day? And then inactive, this will be anyone that has not clicked on a link in 13 months. If they haven't clicked on a link in 13 months, they are probably not your client. So I'm gonna go back to contact management. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go on a couple of the different contact records and point out the things that are valuable, that are interesting to you. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Which. Now, he was most active in the last 7 days, so I wanna see what this actually shows me. Now, a couple of things I noticed to start is whenever I look at a contact record, I see, first of all, if this says pending or confirmed. This is send confirmation email, so no subscription email has gone out to him yet. That's fine. Then I go to activity and I notice, okay, he's been active. So he was really active yesterday and he was active a couple of weeks ago. And so I'm gonna go to view listings. Now let's imagine that this is Wedge. This is someone, today is Thursday, I believe. I ran into Wedge a couple of days ago at Costco. I don't have a lot of time. And so I said, hey, I'm gonna set you up with the portal and then, play around with it and I'll reach out to you. So this, for that example, this is what we're doing is what I mean. What is that data that's getting generated? Well, first of all, I see he's viewed some listings. And so what do I see? Well, he has viewed the one in Jacksonville 5 times. The reason these are all Jacksonville examples is because last night, I was just tapping on the first listing that came up. So he's viewed this one 5 times in Jacksonville, and he's viewed this one on Oak Island 4 times. Well, why is this important? Well, if I just met Wedge, I haven't saved a search and subscription form. I really am not even sure what he's looking for, but I wanted to get him on my portal because it's branded to me. All his interaction for the searching now is going to be through me. Again, live up-to-date information. These 2 listings right here, the one on Pine Lakes Drive and the one on 69th Street, these are my reason to reach out to him. That's why I keep talking about this data. Is so now he's tapped on a couple listings a bunch of times. So what I can do is I can call up Wedge and say, hey, it looks like you're interested in these properties. Are you going to be in town this weekend? He's like, yeah, well, why don't we schedule a showing and go from there? You're reaching out to him, helping him based on things that he wants to do anyways. It's not cold calling. You're not being, aggressive with trying to sell him property. You gave him access to something that you have access to, the difference being public information. And now he's giving you a reason to reach out to him. So this is why I really like the idea of using the portal to start without a search and subscription. I think combined with a search and subscription, it's incredibly important, but we're kind of just changing the order of how we do things. What I mean by this is, well, right now, the real estate industry is changing like crazy. We know that. And things are, first of all, business is booming. So a lot of times people will find properties, and I've talked to people I know in Pennsylvania, there's a location, the Poconos, where people are from New York are buying houses sight unseen, and they're having these crazy bidding wars. So properties are going so quickly that live up-to-date information is paramount right now. And we know from Zillow, at least from my examples, and I'm sure you have personal experience, that Zillow can be a couple hours to a couple days behind. And in a market like this, that is way too long to wait. So the idea of let's take advantage of what are the portal's key points. 1, live up-to-date information. You meet someone, you don't have a lot of time to sit down with them and ask them everything they're looking for, spend half an hour writing down all these different things. So basically, you're in a hurry or they're in a hurry, and you say, hey, well, let me give you access to what I see. And you invite them to the portal. And I showed you a couple different ways. It's incredibly simple. You invite them to the portal. You let them play around with it and do their own searching, which they're going to do anyways on another site. But the benefit is this is live, up-to-date information. And then now, a couple days later, this is what you see. This is the information that Wedge has provided to you. So these 2 properties are the reason I'm going to call them up. Or the shared listings, he shared this one in King Richard Court, he shared that one. So people tend to share listings to, again, husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriend, that kind of thing. So valuable information. Now, if we go to searches and subscriptions, we notice that there is no search and subscription. That's fine, because I did not set him up yet with one. But if I looked at the properties here, got an idea of what he's looking at, and if I go into portal, I can actually see what he's saved, what he's hidden. So what I could do is, in addition to just reaching out to him, I could spend a few minutes looking at what he likes and say, hey, Wedge, it looks like you're looking between 200 and 250,000 in Tarboro. Is that correct? I was like, yeah. Well, why don't I set up a search and subscription for you? And then it'll remind you what the new listings are. So we're doing the search and subscription after the fact, after we've talked to him, seeing what he likes, then setting it up. Now, there's a couple reasons to do this. One, unless you're paying for Flexmls as IDX, your clients are not able to save the search and subscription. So we're using that to our advantage by saying, well, let's let them search and do what they want, to kind of get an idea what they like. Then we reach out to them, say, well, I'll set up a search and subscription for you. I can save that for you. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to add, we'll create a new search. And we'll do city of Scarborough, do price of, let's see, you can get in for 200,000, 200 to 250. So by looking at his stuff, this is what I've basically figured out what he wants. So then I go up to save. And you'll notice he's already selected. If you go do a save search and selection or save search and subscription through contact management, it already has their name there. So we'll do Wedge Antilles, Scarborough 200 to 250K. I'm going to save and add a subscription. So we're doing the search and subscription after the fact. That's not a problem. Name. There we go. So it only took me a couple minutes, but I let him really show me what he likes based on his searching and basing on what he's looking at. And then once I take a look at it, I reach out to him and then I say, hey, is this correct? And then we go from there. So let me sum up. This is kind of a new thing to a lot of people. So I like to go through this process a couple of times. And so we did the same thing with Red Leader. I just want to verify. Okay, so Red Leader, we have actually search. Gold Leader, we do not. Okay. So the same, we're gonna go through the process with Gold Leader. We meet Gold Leader. And if we go into activity, we see if he has generated any activity for us. And we actually did that with Red Leader. Okay, so Red Leader has viewed some listings. So he's viewed this one twice on Scarborough, and then he's shared a listing. So what we're doing right here is we're looking at a contact, we're looking at someone that we met a couple of days ago, or maybe a week ago, however long, and we're taking a look at the data that they're generating. So once they generate this data for us, then we can go from there and we have a reason to reach out to him. So he shared this listing, so it's probably important to him because he shared it to someone else. And he also tapped on this one a couple of times, and we noticed that this is the same listing. So he only viewed it once and then he shared it. So when I reach out to Red Leader and say, hey, it looks like you're interested in these properties, do you want to take a look at them? He's like, yeah, I'll be in town this weekend. And we go from there. And we had already saved a search subscription for him, but if we hadn't, we can always add a new search and subscription based on what he's looking at. If I go to portal, if I see any information, I do not see any information here because he hasn't done that yet. But let's go back to Wedge and look at his portal. Okay, so he saved 4 listings. So I'm just going to tap on saved. And so we see he's saved, he's hidden, and he has the other ones right here. Now, whenever they save listings and they go to the save section, it defaults to 1 star, but they can actually do 2 or 3 stars if they'd like. It's personal preference. And we'll go to hidden. These are the listings that he's hiding. So a lot of times your clients can't really verbalize what they like or what they don't like. So it helps to go into what they're saving and what they're hiding to get a better idea. You may look at all of his hidden listings and realize, well, everything he doesn't like is blue. So maybe he just doesn't like blue houses. Or you go to saved, you see, you can get an idea of what, his search parameters are, his price range, that kind of thing. So even if you haven't saved a search subscription yet, going into these saved or hiddens can give you an idea. So when you reach out to them, say, hey, is this what you're looking for? Yes. Okay, then we'll go from there. Now, recommended. Recommended is a really cool thing, and I talked about this before. And I'm just going to do this from the context of the hot sheet because this would make a little more sense. So we're going to pull up a hot sheet. And we'll do Nash County. Okay, so we get one for 234. So my example before is, our client was looking at houses between like 200 and 230. So this is not going to show up in their search, but I happen to know that on Golden Villas Drive, this is like a crazy deal. So one thing you can do is work on behalf of right here. And I'm going to plug in Wedge's name. And so when I do that, watch what happens to the left side. Suddenly it changes and there's a recommended section. And I have these new icons. I have the star for the save listing as contact. So watch what happens. Save 4 becomes save 5. You have the no sign, which is hide listing as an agent. You'll notice there's a separate section, hidden by agent and hidden. If you hide it, it actually keeps it separately from when they hide it. And then you have the briefcase, which is recommend to a contact. So where's that 234 right here? I recommend that. And so in his contact record, he'll actually see a recommended section when he's in his portal. And so if you tell him like once a week, I might recommend something to you, you'll get to take a look at that. So the other thing that's really cool when you're working on behalf of a contact is this note section right here. So it says view or edit notes about this listing. So if you actually saw this property on an open house, go to the notes and say, like thick carpet. Something to that effect, something specific that you noticed about this property that you can save for the future. So this is a note that's specific for that listing. He's not going to see that. And so we see they're colored versus grayed out. So we'll go back into contact management. We'll go back into Wedge. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump through these different tabs. Now that we've kind of explained what they are, we'll go through them one more time. So our contact details tab, if we click on edit contact, this is what we would see as if we put in any of this information. And I showed you, if you want to do a contact record in depth, it's very, very simple. You just go to add contact right here. Whereas the other option would be just to put in their first, last, email, and portal. If it's just a quick add, and specifically if you want to get them on the portal. So here's contact details, and I see that he is pending. So first thing I always check whenever I set someone up with a contact record, I'd see if they've set up a subscription, are they pending, confirmed, whatever that is. And if I want to see how long he has been pending, very simple. Remember our opt-in status report? I'm going to open this up to a new tab. I don't want to lose the work I'm doing. Okay, so pending. He's just been pending today. So I just set him up, so that's not a problem. Okay, then we go to activity. So again, we'll sum this up. Flexmls sorts the activity based on the last 7 days. On the previous screen right here, it sorts, so it shows you the people that are the most active. The purpose being is, let's say you spend all afternoon with a client and you're finished and you have, you want to get another half an hour worth of work done today before we call it a day. So why don't you pull up your contact management, and this screen, the thing that you see here, you will see on your mobile device. So if I pull up my mobile device and go into contacts, and I'll actually minimize this to make it look like a mobile device. you see the exact same thing. You notice that wedge is the most active. And the ones that don't have bars, these are people who haven't been invited to the portal yet. That's the difference. But you might see, okay, wedge is the most active. I haven't talked to him in a couple of days. Well, why don't I pull up his record, see what he's viewing, the exact same thing that we see on the desktop site, see all the listings that he's viewed. And then I could even, contact him from my app. So. Let's go back into wedge. Okay, so activity. So he was really active yesterday. So in the actual contract record, it goes back 30 days. So it counts back from the previous day. So if you're playing around with a contact and you're also why isn't blue yet, just wait until the next day. It's not going to show that data until the day after. And then we go back about 2 weeks and we see that's when he was active again. But we see the listings that he's viewed. And again, the reason of using this data is you want to let them do their own searching, ideally in Flexmls, because they're going to do it anyways. Let them do it in Flexmls, and then they have the live up-to-date data. Also, you track what they're looking at, 2 things that are really important. And then if he's sharing listings or if you've emailed anything, it actually keeps track of subscription emails versus manual emails. Go to searches and subscriptions. Now, he has a search and subscription which we just set up. You can always add another if you'd like. And you can add a search that is like, say with someone else already. You can have the same search for multiple people. Like, so if I add Tarboro Residential, but look what happens right here, subscriptions, there's nothing there, where for wedge, there is a subscription. So each search that is attached to a contact has to have a subscription. People assume once you set up subscription, doesn't matter, there's going to be subscriptions for all their searches. Not. A subscription is specific to a search. So here I see one where the Tarboro Residential, I don't. So if you want to add a subscription for this, then you just have to add a subscription from this process and then decide what you want. You'll go through whatever things. So now we see that each search has a subscription, but they're still saying pending. So until he clicks on that subscription email that says, yes, please send me listings, he has not opted in. And other cool things you can do on the screen is you can view the totals of listings new in the last 24 hours. And it will show you the search parameters for your individual searches. Now the portal screen, we looked at this earlier, but just go through it again. This is your URL that we talked about from the portal preferences, but here's the collection. So anything they've saved, recommended, hidden, last time they were active. So the last time he logged in the portal was last night. So I was prepping for class. And you can even see search parameters for any searching that they're doing themselves. And you can see the most recent unsaved search. So what's cool about this is if your client tells you something they're looking for and then they're doing their own searching, it is vastly different than what they're telling you. You can reach out to them and say, hey, are we accurately looking for what you're trying to find? And then messages. So it has an option to send a message to me when wedge until he logs into the portal. If you're tired of getting messages every time he logs in, like he logs in multiple times a day, you can uncheck this. Notes. Now pay close attention to this. Contact notes. You can add a note. Now this is specific to him. So don't bring up, something, sore spot, don't mention something. So you have that. Whereas listing notes, this is for specific listings. So every time we are on a listing, if I'm working on behalf of him, I can make a note for a specific property. So like every time we go and open a house, I might want to keep notes about that specific property. And to do that again, I'll show you. You can either in hot sheet or quick search, wherever you're at, The key thing is when you're inside a search, you need to work on behalf of, because when you do that, it changes what's on the left side of the screen. So I'll work on behalf of. We'll do wedge. And when I do that, it suddenly adds this to the left side. So what's like the stuff you see in the portal. And then I have these new options that we saw this before: the star to save it, briefcase to recommend, the no sign to delete, and then here are this is for the listing notes. So if I want to add listing notes for another listing, and something and save it. And so now he's going to have a note specific on that listing. If we go back into contact management and his record, I will see in the listing notes section, there we go. Those are the 2 notes that he has. So that is some just basic contact management, mostly in the context of dealing with the portal, because ideally that's what you want. You want every single one of your clients to be on the portal. Now, one thing I do want to point out before we make some other changes is a lot of people will ask me, well, okay, I've sold my client a property. Should I just delete the search and the subscription? And I tell people, don't do that. And what I mean by that is you can go in an individual contact and see that search or subscription, but personally, what I like to do is just start typing in subscriptions up at the top. And let's see who has a subscription. So this will actually show all your clients that have subscriptions. Okay. So we'll say that Red Leader has a subscription, but he found his 7 bedrooms and he purchased it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to subscription, Red Leader, and I see that he has an ASAP email. What I'm going to do is switch to monthly, and then I'm going to update the message before saving. What I mean by that is, I talked about this the other day too. Something like 80% of people will recommend their realtor to a friend or family member, but research shows only something like 20% actually remember the name. Now, you could buy a fancy chef's knife and get your branding, or, you know, people do have different ways to make sure that people remember who they are. But one cool thing is, once your client has purchased a property, switch their search to just once a month, and you can maybe even narrow down the search a bit more, really specific to the type of properties they're looking for, or just save a search specific to the subdivision that they're working, and then fire off these just monthly emails that lets them know what's going on in their neighborhood. And so I'm switching that ASAP to monthly, updating the message, and just saying, okay, this is your monthly email letting you know what's going on in your neighborhood. If you have any questions, please let me know. You want to make sure that your client remembers who you are, because you're more likely to get a referral. So you can do that. But the other thing that people will do is, and I highly recommend don't doing it, is, like, for example, Gold Leader. What they'll do is they'll go into the portal. It's like, oh, he purchased something from me, let's just turn him off from the portal. Now, I wouldn't do this either, because a lot of times, and I've talked to a lot of realtors about this, is after people have purchased a property, they still like to log in the portal. They still like to know what's going on. And so they could do these on other sites, but if they've gotten used to using Flexmls and they really like that live, up-to-date information, you want to make sure they still have access to the portal, because again, every time they log into the portal, the first thing they see is your smiling face. They see your profile photo. So they're associating their search with you. So even if they purchased something from you, allow them to have access to the portal, and then just say, you know, if you ever have any questions, or your friends or family members that are looking, you know, they're more likely to remember you. Okay, so just to sum up those 2 things, a lot of people will ask me, hey, my client's purchased, what should I do with their search and subscription to the portal? They'll like delete the contact record, they'll delete the search. Like, no, turn the subscription to once a month, and just let, you know, keep them reminded what's going on in their neighborhood, where they purchased. Or what you do is Keep the portal on, don't turn it off, because they're likely to log back in the future and look at properties. So now a few of the things I want to point out before we take our break. This screen right here, there's a lot of white space that can be used with data inside of Flexmls. And so that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to advanced, and there's an option right here that says customize contact list. I'm going to add some more information. So I talked about before, when you're entering in a client, if you want to do first, middle, last, that display name, that does allow you to change to first, last, or last, first. Now, I mentioned this in the other class, but always pay attention to your hover text and your mouse behavior, because right now it's the standard cursor with the arrow. But whenever I hover over something, it gives me that index finger. It tells me that I can do something with it. But also the hover text, change names to last, first, or first, last. And then I'm just basically going to start adding some stuff. So I don't really care about subscription listings to approve. This just refers to the preview mode. If you use preview mode, it sends you the listings first, but I find most people don't use preview mode. So we're going to recommend saved, hidden, and then see, like last active. And I also like date created. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding some more columns into that list with data that I can actually use. And I can change the order around if I'd like by using these arrows. This is one of the oldest pages on Flexmls. They're slowly updating all the pages to be a more modern look. And then I'm just going to click on save. So now I'm utilizing all that white space more effectively. So what I've done now is I basically added stuff that are related to the portal. So Wedge, shows me that I've recommended one listing for him. He's saved 5, he's hidden 2. And this is when he was last active. So what's cool about contact management now is before with Flexmls, you'd want a copy of all emails that went out to them. Like if they've logged in the portal, like every time they click on a link, just so you can keep track of it. But Flexmls, the contact management now tracks all that stuff. So I just put it right here on my contact management. Every time I log in to contact management, I will see this data right here. So it's right in front of me. And like, so Mace even has a subscription set up. So he's gotten 6 listings. And so yeah, it's right in front of me. So, okay, so I'm gonna spend a few minutes summing up what we did in contact management, and then in the third hour, we will go over some customizations. So, contact management. The reason I do this as the second hour after a first hour of portals is because I like to generate data that we can take a look at, and that's some of that stuff that we see here. But in this hour, what we did is we added a new contact really quickly. Here. And we can invite someone to the portal. So this is the fastest way to invite someone to the portal. If you just want to do some basic stuff, then we went to add contact right here. If we have time to, really deep dive and put in all their information. So a few things that I pointed out is additional contacts, usually going to be the spouse. You do have an option to do multiple email addresses, meaning if you want an email to go to both people, subscription emails, you can do so. Then we talked about reverse prospecting. Reverse prospecting is basically saying you're allowing other realtors to notify you if you have a client whose search matches their listing. It's as simple as that. So usually other people do it. Let's say, for example, you have a parcel of land and they're just getting no hits on it. So you reverse prospect, you send emails to other realtors that have clients that might be interested in that property. You don't have access to those clients. You just have access to the realtor being notified that that person, they have that contact. Now, if you have this box checked, it means it's saying you're allowing your contact to be reverse prospect. You have it unchecked, then they won't show up. So it's just personal preference. And then you can always create a portal account whenever you add a contact. Like I said before, once you understand the portal and you played with it, I recommend getting all your clients on the portal. And then finally, you can add people to contacts lists, break them down by Ruby customers, first-time home buyers, however you want to do it. Then what we did is we pulled up an actual contact like Wedge and we went through the different tabs. So what do we see? Well, here's his details. And I always check to see if they're pending, confirmed, whatever. If someone's been pending for a while, the one way to always check on that is to pull up the opt-in status report. This is something I say, check it once a week. You want to make sure your clients are not pending for a week or so, because that means that we're not receiving emails. And then you can go through the different tabs. Then we looked at activity, and so we get to see over the last 30 days, when are they most active. But this is the most important part of this section, is the data that they're generating. These are the emails that or the listings that they're looking at. And so we see that this one's 5, this one's 4, and this one's been shared. These 3 properties, this is the reason for me to reach out to Wedge to say, hey, do you want to schedule some showings? So it's very important. Then here's a search and subscription. Each search has to have a subscription. But if there's no searches and subscriptions, you can save a search and subscription after you've set them up with the portal. Just go to the portal and see what they like and what they don't like. And so this data they're providing to you will help you with their search. And then we just go through, if there's any messages, any notes. Listing notes are listing notes specific to individual listings, where notes is specific to your client. And then I showed you under advanced, you can go to customize contact list if you want to customize the fields that are on the previous screen. Okay, so that is contact management. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll start up with customizations in the 3rd hour. Okay, and we are going to be focusing on customizing the different things inside of Flexmls. So the first thing that we're going to customize is a quick search template. Then we're going to customize a view, and then we're going to customize a report. And I'm actually going to do the view first before the quick search template, just so it's easier to match them together. So I'll tell you what I mean. Well, when we go in to do a search, the things that we're going to focus on customizing is what's on the left side. This is a quick search template. If I go to 1- residential, I notice that there's 2 land, 3 multifamily. These, if I switch to land, this changes to the fields that are available on the left side by default. So what we can do is we can create our own template and have the fields that we're interested in on the left side. That's really the purpose. So if I go to 1- residential, there's some default fields that are provided for me, but if I'm always searching for something else and I'm tired of having to add a field to the search each time, I can create my own template. And that's what I've done right here. The 1.5 My Quick Search. What I did is I removed the fields that I'm not interested in on the left side. I've added fields I am interested in, and then I've saved it. So that's one customization that we're going to do. And then another customization is on the list tab. So I'm actually going to do the list tab first. And the list tab has this view, and I can have a 1-line or I can have a normal view. But you'll notice that there's different views, and the ones with the asterisks, they have asterisk, meaning they are the default ones. They're provided for you. But what we can do is we can customize and decide what fields we want to see on this list tab. So I do the list tab first, the view, then I do the save the quick search template. So I can use a specific view, meaning the list tab, a specific view with a specific search template. So that's what we're going to do right now. We'll start with a residential search, and I'm going to go to the list. Give that a second to load, and it has the 1- residential. So I'm going to use the residential as the template and then work off from that. So I'm going to go to view and basically just go from tab to tab. So I'm going to call this one res view. Just copy that, and if you'll notice, there's any help text, it says report description appears on the list of results. So if I don't want it to say Chewy's res view, I just want to say residential. Do that. Show photo, yes. If you want this to default for like a My Listings, Office, or Address Show List. Number search, just personal preference. And then I'm gonna go to fields. And then, okay, so there's 4 things that you can do here. You can remove listings, or sorry, remove fields. And so I'm gonna remove the listing office, listing member, and delayed marketing date. So you can remove things. Then what you can do is you can click on here and change the label. So the total square foot, heated, primary, and separate, that label takes up a huge amount of space, and total square footage shouldn't be more than 4 numbers, right? 2,000, 3,000. So that column takes up too much space. So I'm just gonna click on this and change this to say total square feet. And so like number of baths total, again, that's only gonna be 1 number. So I might make that more narrow to just number of baths. Number of bedrooms, abbreviate this so it says number of beds. And okay, so what did I do? I clicked on the X, remove the fields that I'm not interested in. I clicked on the label to narrow it down. I can sort by watching my mouse behavior. Okay, so the default mouse behavior is always that arrow. And if I hover over it, I see the 4 directionals. Whenever I see the 4 directionals, it allows me to drag and drop. So I'm going to hold my left mouse button down for the subdivision, move that up. And so I can change the order. Then I'm going to do year built next. Here we go. And the third thing we can do is on the left side, we can start to add fields. So I'm going to add cumulative days on the market. And then let's see what else. If I can just type it in, if I know specifically what I'm looking for. Say tax assessed value, HOA. So the third thing that I'm doing right now is I'm adding the fields that I am interested in. And I'm going to take up a space just because the tax value shouldn't be more than a handful of numbers. Cumulative days of market, same thing. See down. So the 4 things that we're doing, we're clicking on the X to remove the fields that we are not interested in. Clicking on the label to make the label take up less space, because it's kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. The columns, if your label is way too long and your data is only a couple of characters, then you're just wasting space. Then we used our 4 directionals. If we want to change the order of things, hold our left mouse button and move things up or down. And then finally, we add a list, adding fields on the left side if there's anything that we want to add over. And then we're going to go to the sort tab. So pay close attention to this. Now, your default sort is a column order, meaning you just click on a column and then it will sort everything based on that column. But you do have the option to do a custom sort. And what's really cool about a custom sort is you can do multiple fields that you're sorting on. So I'm going to create a new sort right here. We're just going to call this one Chewy's Res Sort. So first I'm going to sort on subdivision. Then I'm going to sort on price. And then I'm going to sort on square footage. So it's just personal preference what you want to put in. But what this means is then when I look at results on the list tab, everything will first be in the same subdivision. It's the same subdivision. Then it's going to sort them on price. And if they have the same price, then it's going to sort it on total square footage. Now you could sort on bedrooms, bathrooms, whatever it is that you want to sort on. But I'm going to save this now. So now I have a new view called Chewy's Res View. And I can do the 1 line right here if I'd like. So this all fits onto one screen now. It looks pretty nice. Or I can do the normal view. And you can always, change the size of these columns manually by going up the top. You see these like, looks like a wall thing. You can move that over if you'd like. Switch back to one line. Switch it back. So this is Chewy's Res View versus the residential. You'll notice that there are going to be different fields here. Let's go back to the Chewy's Res. So basically all I'm doing here is I'm customizing the content that is on the screen, on the list tab. It's called a view. I'm putting the fields that are the most important to me. So I like to do the view first, because then when we go to edit search, we're going to customize the left side, and then we're going to have a view specific for that search. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of the fields that I'm not interested in, that I don't search on. Then I'm going to add the fields that I do search on. So if any of you are used to using the full search, which is going to be going away next month, this is really how you get used to it going away, is you create your own quick search template. You add the things that are you're interested in, and then save it so it's always there. So I'm going to add appliances, and I'll do exterior features. Let's see what else is important to me. Let's add a days on market field. And if I click inside this box, I don't type anything. It's just going to show me everything that I can search on. So let's see what else. I'm going to add construction. Okay, so I've added 4 new fields that I can search on. And so these are important to me. So I'm tired of always having to look for them. I want them to always be there. So that's what we're doing. On the list screen, we're deciding what data is shown with our own custom view, which we have Chewy's Res View. On the edit search, what we're doing is we're removing the fields we're not interested in. We're adding the fields we are interested in, so they're always there. So now I'm ready to go up to save quick search template right here. Save quick search template. And I'm just going to call this one. Now, my other one was called 1.5. I'll do 1.25. They're alphanumeric. So if you wanted to have multiple residential ones, you could use like these abbreviations here. So where there's decimals, 1.25. Chewy's Res Search. And it's already, we see Chewy's Res View is there. That's why I like to do the view first, because it defaults to this. So we can make sure that our custom quick search template has a custom view. Click on save. I'm just going to click on Flex my dashboard. And so if I were to do a quick search, I do the drop down, residential, Chewy's Res Search, my quick search. So this is the one that I just created. So if I see the difference with the residential, we see things like listing selling member, listing selling office, whereas my custom one, the Chewy's Res Search, what do we see? We see this 4 new fields that I've added. And when I switch to the list tab, then I see Chewy's Res View, so the fields that I want to see. So we're going to go through this one more time. This time we'll do it with land. So on my land, I'm going to create my own view. I'll use the land one as the basis, but I'm going to create my own view with information I'm interested in. So we're going to go to view. And we'll call this Chewy's view. Land. We'll go to the fields tab. So remember the 4 things that we can do here. X gets rid of the fields we're not interested in. We want to change a label. We can do so if it's too long. Then we can add fields that we're interested in, like C down. sure my available fields is switched to land instead. Okay, so I've added a few more fields, and then the final thing would be the 4 directionals. If you want to change the order of any of these fields, do so. Then on the sort screen, column order would just be sorting. You click on a column and you sort on that column. Where custom sort allows you to create your own sort based on what the number of things that you want to do. And so I want to do subdivision first, and then say lot acres. Oh, where they have a lot? Do lot dimensions. Okay, then I click on save. Now my list tab does subdivision first, then it does acres or lot dimensions. There we go. And then so I've created this on the view. Now, if I want to have my own custom search on the left side, I remove the fields I'm not interested in. And fields I am interested in. And then when I go up to save quick search template, I'll give it a name. So I'll do 2.5 Chewy's search. It's got Chewy's land view right here, and click on save. So now when I go to that section, Chewy's land search, I have my custom stuff. I have the new fields that I'm interested in that are always going to be there. And then on the list screen, I now have the custom view that I wanted. Now, if you need to make any other changes, there is a section for my views. If you want to see all the different views that are there, and you see the ones that right here that we're worked on, if you want to edit. So it's basically a similar process that we did before. You could edit there, but you probably won't play around with the my views in this section. But one thing you can do is my quick searches right here, my quick searches. What's cool about making changes on the fly is you can remove fields or add fields, but you can't change the order they're in. So if I go to my quick searches and I'm looking for that Chewy res search right here and click on edit, and I'm not going to make any changes here, click on next. What I can do here is change the order of these. I can't do that when I'm just removing or adding. It just always adds it to the bottom. So if I want to move things up, and I want to decide, okay, actually I want to remove county now. And if I want to make any changes and move things around, this is the screen that you're going to go to. So I take a little bit to do it. This is only something that you have to really customize once. And then click on save. And so it's going to change the order of these fields. Again, I'll show you what I mean. When I'm in a quick search and I'm playing around with these things here, I can click on the X to remove and I can add new ones, but it's always going to be at the bottom. I remove a couple fields, then I add some fields. It's always at the bottom. But if I want to change the order, I go into my quick searches and I can create a new one from here. But I personally like to create it while I'm playing around with it. And then I come here, and if I need to make any final tweaks, and the tweak being that I want to change the order of stuff, I can do so and click on save. So just to verify that that works, we're going to pull up that template. We'll go into our one that says Chewy's res search. And so now I say, okay, city's been moved up. So I've changed the order of how I want this to look. Give me 1 second. Okay, so that was customizing a view, which is right here on the list screen, and then customizing the quick search template, which you see on the edit search screen. So the other customization I want to do is an actual report, meaning like a flyer for an open house. This is one thing a lot of people don't realize. So I've been starting to teach it more and more, is because a lot of times people will spend a lot of money to have put together a flyer for you, and Flexmls provides you a pretty quality flyer that you can create yourself, and then you could have it, either printed at your office if you have a nice laser jet, or send it somewhere else to get printed. But it would save you some money by creating your own flyers. So this section, this part comes down to 2 sections. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to customize the template, what the flyer looks like, and then the second part we're actually going to print it off and finish the final part. So this is what I mean. We're going to go into, type in my reports. Go to my reports, and then what I'm looking for is new, right down here. And I'm looking for customer flyer. This is what we're going to be working on, the customer flyer. And we have different options like 3 column, 5 photo, 7 photo. Personally, I really like the 5 photo flyer. I think it looks really nice. So I'm going to go to the 5 photo flyer. And so this first part is, again, we are creating a template that we're going to use later on. So by creating this template, what I'm doing is I'm just going to be editing these individual containers, deciding what fields are in them. And then so after I spend that time, that's the template I'm going to create. So I'm going to do this pretty quickly. You might want to spend another 10, 15 minutes when you do it, really go through and decide what fields are important to you. But I just want to show you how simple this is. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to edit this container, the profile section. And so I'm just going to add like my primary phone, my email, and my website, and click on update. And now that information has been added right there. So that's the first container. Now the second container is called dimensions, and I'm going to edit this container. And so look at the different sections. Now I like to just call this one basics. And you'll notice there's columns 1. I'm going to do 2 columns because I can fit a decent amount of information. I can probably fit about 6 fields in here. So I'll start adding them. So click here to add fields. So we're going to do bedrooms, do bathrooms. Let's do square footage. Let's do garage. Acres. So I said I could probably fit about 6 here. I'll just put in 5, but you'll notice something. These labels, like we saw on the view, take up so much space. So I'm actually just going to minimize this. And what's cool about this template is once we've spent 15, 20 minutes creating this template, we save it, we can use it in the future. So this is why I'm actually going to take my time, make this look nice. Because there's 2 columns, I want to make sure I can fit all of this there. Okay, and when I'm finished, I'm going to click on update. And so now this is basics. And like I said, you could probably finish about six fields in here. I put in 5. Then we're going to go to remarks. I'm going to edit this container. Now, why this one is called remarks, I don't know, because really remarks should be down here. So I'm going to edit this container and remove remarks. And this one, instead, I'm going to call it features. And I like the 1 column, but there's a couple different fields I'm going to put in here. I'm going to put in exterior features. And I could also put in interior features. Now, depending on how nice the house is, you might not be able to fit both. So you might want to create a couple different reports based on the amount of data. So right here, exterior and interior, this fits. But again, if it's a really fancy house, this might overflow the container. So you might want to just do exterior features or interior features. Now the details tab, very simple. I'm going to add this container, and I like to keep this called details, but I'm going to switch this to 3 columns instead. And so this is where I'm going to add in all kinds of stuff, like do subdivision. I'm marking out when you're doing this, so again, spend the extra time to make sure this looks good. So do year built. And you just scroll through instead of searching for stuff. I'm just going to add probably about 10 things or so. Now, what's really cool about when you add a field over, if there's no data in that field, the label won't just show. Okay, so I've added a handful of fields. If you need to make something take up less space, you can do so, but otherwise I click on update. And now we see the 3 different columns. It says you probably fit about 12. Right here I have 9. Well, whatever fields you feel are important, put them in this detail section. Now the additional info, this is where I edit this container and I switch this for the public remarks. Why I was up in the features section, I don't know. So we'll just call this remarks. And I'm just gonna do 1 column because I'm gonna only put in 1 field in this box. Remarks and click on update. Okay, so this one is overflowing just because this listing has a whole bunch of remarks, but that's fine. One thing you can do is when we're in the edit portion of this. So right now we're doing the template, the first part. When we're editing it, we can shrink down fonts. Okay, so if we're happy with this, we're just gonna go up, save report. We'll save as. So I was like to name something new, and I'm gonna call this my new 5 flyer. Save. So this is the template. Again, take your time, make sure it looks nice because you can use this in the future. So the second part will be, we're actually going to print this off for a listing. And I'm going to go to the detail tab. I'm just going to find let's see. Okay, well, I'll search for Rocky Mount first. And then I'm just going to find a decent property to do this on. Okay, so we got this one right here. I want to make sure it has some photos. One more time. Looks like I just saw this. Flexmls has just updated something this morning. Okay, so we see there's a bunch of photos. Now the reason I specifically like to look at the photos first is because I'm looking for photos where the first 5 are exterior shots. And the problem with having a 5-photo flyer is if the first 5 are exterior, then you just see exterior. Well, we're going to swap out those photos. And that's one of the things we're going to do. So I'm happy with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to print. So this is the key thing. Okay. So what we do is we're going to scroll down. We're going to find our my new 5-photo flyer. Click on preview. And so this is going to generate the flyer. Now you'll notice this edit button is not there until you click preview. And I'll show you what I mean again. We're going to return to the search results. We'll go up to print. We'll go to the new 5-photo flyer. Preview, see that how that edit button is grayed out. Once you preview, it'll generate it, and then it's going to allow you to edit it. And this is the key thing here. This is what we're going to be editing. The first part was, again, creating the template, deciding what fields are here. Then the second part is editing and doing the final tweaks. So I'm going to click on edit. And let's see if I need to make any tweaks to like any of the address or the price. But really what I'm doing is, the first thing is I may decide to shrink down my photo if I click on this and shrink it down. Now, I don't know what your rules are, but some boards require it to add like fair housing or something. So if you've uploaded under my photos, you've uploaded like the Equal Housing Realtor logo. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add that one so it fits, and I'll shrink this down a little bit. But if you need to upload photos so they're in my photo section, it's very simple. You can type in my profile, open this up in a new tab. I don't want to ever lose the work that I'm doing. So you do have the option to upload personal photo and logo maintenance. So if you want to upload your own photo, your headshot, or like that, the realtor are in fair housing, whatever your rules are for your board. So I've done that. Now, like I said before, I specifically looked for a house that had just exterior photos. And the reason being is your primary photo usually is the front approach of the house, which is what you want. But I want a bedroom photo. I want a bathroom photo, you know, I want whatever it is that I can have. So to do this, now I went to my photos before to upload this, but the list photo section is how you swap out photos. So I'm going to click on this one, click on list photos. And give it a second to load. And so we're going to swap out, we'll do one for the dining room. So I just click on it and it swaps it out behind me. Now, if you're using Google Chrome, last time I used Chrome, it had a bug where it just would delete the photos. So I always use Firefox when it comes to printing stuff in Flexmls. Flexmls is not a standalone software. It is a browser and it works across all browsers. But if a browser makes it tweak to certain code, it can break functionality in Flexmls. And so there's not a lot Flexmls can do with that. Click on this one. We're going to click on list photos. One second. Just texting Flexmls, letting them know I noticed something that was this what's new should not be popping up there. And then maybe next one we're going to do the living room. And then click on this one. We're going to do list photos. And let's find a bedroom photo. There we go. And so again, you can swap out the photos however you want to do it. And maybe we'll do a bathroom photo. So I like the 5-photo. You could do the 7-photo if you really have a lot of nice photos that you want to show. And then we'll keep scrolling down. So any basics. So like total square footage, I don't need a 0.0. So I'm just going to clean this up. Same thing. Clean this up. Garage spaces. And then if like this right here, if this took up too much space, it overflowed, then you could always select font and shrink it down to like 8 or switch to a different font. So because this isn't too fancy a house, I have room for exterior and interiors, but you notice if there's a lot of fields, you might just have to do the interior features here. And then with the details, all different stuff that you want. Again, if something's taking too much space, just shrink the font or make some changes. And then remarks, I always seem to find typos in the remarks when I'm doing this. But otherwise, if you're happy with this, what you can do is you can click on save, but you need an address or you need a name of it. So I'm going to put 632 Blue Water Landing. Name it after my actual property, and then I can email or save this. But if I go to print, there we go. This is a flyer that I can print, create as a PDF or email it. But this is a very simple flyer that it takes you about 10-15 minutes to create the template. And then the last 5 minutes, and once you've created that template, you can save this and use this in the future. But the last 5 minutes is literally just tweaking a little bit of text, swapping out some photos, and then you're good to go. So I always like to save my flyers. And if you're curious where your flyers are located, it's in that exact same My Profile section. So go to New Tab. And there's a My Documents section right here. You'll see all the flyers that you create. So you can edit them again, email, print, whatever you want to do. Okay, so what did we just do in this section? It's very simple. So we decided that we wanted to create our own custom flyers. And so to do that, we're going to go to My Reports. And then click on New. So this comes down to two sections. The first section is we're going to create the custom flyer, basically a template with the data we want to see. So I'm going to go to Customer Flyer. Maybe this time I'll do the 7-photo flyer. And so this containers are, this one I usually don't even mess with because it's already so small. But these other containers, we go to Basics. I could call it Basics or Dimensions. I usually do a couple columns, put in some fields like bedrooms or baths. Now I'm not going to go through the whole process again. Remarks, I don't know why, again, why this one's called remarks, because I always call this one features, because remarks won't fit. Usually put in a few things like interior features or exterior features. And then details, I'll do 3 columns, and then additional info is where I put the remarks. So when I'm done with this, I save it, save as, and then when you're ready to use it, it's very simple. When you're in a search, you find your property. Let's say you have a open house this weekend and you want to print off some flyers. So you just, let me narrow this down by Rocky Mount again. At the detail tab, we'll find a property that has some photos on it. Okay, make sure we have multiple photos. That's the key thing. Okay, so this has a bunch of photos. We go up to print. I'll just use the new 5-photo flyer because I didn't save the 7-photo one. I click on preview. This edit button is grayed out until we actually preview, then it becomes an option. When I go to edit, what I can do is if I need to tweak any of this stuff, click on edit. And this for each individual listing, if we're going to do this, again, it only takes a couple of minutes. Everything looks good. I could swap out photos by going to list photos. Whatever I want to do, tweak any of this final text. And if I'm happy with this, save it or print it, email, whatever it is that I want to do. Do we have any questions on this? All So the first hour we talked about portals, and after you walk away from this class, I want you to just like understand the value of it. The 2 reasons: 1, live up-to-date information, and 2, you can track what they're looking at. They're already going to be doing searching, so you might as well get them into Flexmls so they can see what you see. And then especially with the market right now, how hot it can be, getting them that live up-to-date information. In the second hour, we focused on contact management, but specifically regarding clients who are using the portal. Get them on the portal. We can see the data they generate, what they've liked, what they don't like, and then went from there. And then this third hour, we just focused on some customization. So when you're inside of Quick Search, we first customized what was on the list screen. So whatever view is here, we created our own custom view. Then we went to the edit search, and then we customized what fields are here. We removed fields we weren't interested in, then added the fields we are interested. So whenever we're in a search, we can use our custom quick search templates, which shows what we want. Oh, try that one more time. Shows the information we want, and then it's going to have our specific list view. And then the last part of the class, I just showed you how to create your own custom flyer. Okay, if there are no questions, I'm just going to stop the recording.